Okay. So, Kieren, once again, thank you so much for your time. Okay, you're my second guest, and I approached you, and you right away agreed. I really appreciate that.
No
Um,
problem, no problem, Rashid. It's my pleasure.
okay, cool, cool.
Uh,
Um,
uh,
yeah, go ahead.
as I said, I may be a boring guest, but sure.
No, no,
at
you
least,
have. I
at
was
least you
looking
can
into
put.
your LinkedIn profile. That's very interesting. I want to discuss. I never actually looked at that before. So why don't you go ahead and kind of introduce yourself, your current role, and then
Sure,
I'll go back actually. So I know it,
sure.
but for
Yeah, no,
others,
no, no worries. Yeah, absolutely. So, hi everybody. I'm Kieren Burke, and I'm an engineering manager at Intel in Shannon. So I'm currently the manager of the pre-silicon verification team there, and previously managed a physical design team, including Rashid. And prior to that, I was managing a small circuit design team at Intel. So that's my
yeah,
experience in Intel to date. So I'm there about 9 years now, believe it or not.
yeah,
So
yeah.
a long time.
Live like that. Yeah. I still
No
remember
longer
the
the new
day
guy.
when you came, and it's been 9 years. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
scary.
it is, it is. So this is I asked my guests. Okay, um, I asked them. Okay, let's look at 10 years old version of you. Let's take you back, and at that age, what were your dreams? What were your ambitions? And how will your childhood look like?
Yeah, okay. That's an interesting question. So I grew up in a small country area in the west of Ireland, a place called in County Roscommon, and it was a I grew up on a farm, a small farm, and I guess the last thing I considered was engineering as a career. I didn't even know that such a career existed, probably, and even if I had heard of it, I didn't really know what it might entail. So when I was 10 years old, I guess I was interested in farming and driving tractors and machinery and all of that sort of stuff. And yeah, I hadn't really thought beyond that because that was what I knew.
Mm.
So
So parents were farmers, and you were mostly in the
my
and after
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, my dad was a farmer and
Mm,
did a little bit of building on the side,
mm,
and my mum looked after us, and there was six of us there, so four boys and two girls, and my grandparents even lived with us for a little while when I was very very young before they passed away.
mm.
So it
So
was
where were
it
you
was
in the siblings?
I was the
You were the
oldest,
old. Oh,
the
you were the
oldest.
oldest.
Yeah, exactly, the
Okay.
one. All the expectations hung on me.
Ah, yeah. So what was it?
But
You were always kind of thinking. I was the oldest too. Um,
yes.
Thinking of your sibling, thinking that okay, responsibility is on my shoulders. I need to get better. I need to do better. You were very responsible
Uh,
type kid.
yeah, I would say, yeah, I probably had that syndrome that comes with oldest children of worried most and all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, I guess because neither of my parents would have gone to college, or they wouldn't have gone beyond high school effectively. And I think even my dad probably only did primary school, so there wasn't a very high expectation in terms of what I would do. But I guess I had I was reasonably bright in school, so there was maybe an expectation on myself that I'd go on and do something, but I hadn't thought too much about it until I after I did my leaving cert, really. So I did my leaving cert. I got
And
on
leaving
okay.
cert is what class? Like it's
So the
eighth
leaving
grade is
cert,
the leaving middle school.
yeah, yeah. So leaving cert, I guess, is the equivalent of the last year in high school in the
Oh,
US, I guess.
oh, I see.
So,
The 12th
so
grade.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was, at that time, not everybody went to college. So
Uh,
there would have been a small, relatively small percentage of people went to college. I hadn't planned to go to college.
yeah.
uh, I had planned to just start working, doing something.
Okay.
I hadn't really thought about what that something might be. uh, but I worked in a meat factory for my summer holidays, and I knew I didn't want to do that.
Mm.
And then I guess when my mum went in to see my principal, and he said Kieren must go to college. So she came home and tried to convince me. Yeah, the principal said you should go to college. So I started looking at what did that mean, and I was late for applying for most of the colleges at that stage. So
Mm.
I found
Because
one
you were
college
good,
who,
you were good at
I,
studies during the high school, and that's why the
yeah,
principal.
yeah, I was relatively speaking. So relatively speaking, I was quite good. I was reasonably bright, and I did a bit of study, and I would have been in the top 4 or 5 people in my class, but the class wasn't a very high achieving class, because I guess there wasn't probably that expectation there. So one college was willing to take me, albeit having applied late, and then I had to decide, well, what am I going to do? And
Mm.
I just looked through the list. I saw
Mm.
engineering on there, and I said that sounds like it might be interesting, even though I don't know what it is. And then I had a choice between plastics engineering, electronic engineering, and some other engineering, and construction maybe, and then I said electronics. That's eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That sounds interesting. And that was
Okay.
how I started out on my career.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, and I know it's strange and interesting how all of us got into engineering. That's why I asked these questions. Okay,
Yes,
so
yes.
high school,
So mine
you were
was
thinking,
completely random,
yeah,
completely
yeah,
arbitrary and random.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so what about your mom? You said she kind of convinced you, hey, go for college instead of working, and then
Yes.
you started applying. And which college you went?
Yeah, I went to a technical college in Athlone
Okay.
in Ireland. So again,
Mm.
in the west of Ireland, and well, actually, sorry, in the Midlands, I guess, but
Midland, yeah.
about 30 miles or something away from my home. And I agreed with my mum that I would do 1 year and see how it went, and
Okay.
if I liked it, I'd stick it, and if
Mm.
not, I would give up. So we struck a
Uh,
deal.
okay.
and and yeah, actually, I think I may have misremembered the meat factory bit. I think the meat factory
Uh-huh.
bit happened in my first year in college, so I think that
Okay.
was, yeah. So I went to college and then in the summer I went to work in the meat factory, and then I decided, okay, if that's the alternative, then I'm definitely going back to
No,
college.
look,
So
oh, I see. I see.
yeah, so
Okay.
so actually that was the way that panned out. But yeah, no. Prior to that, I think a friend of mine had been working in this meat factory, and he had
Uh,
bought a car, and I was kind of envious of,
uh,
you know, he gets to buy a car, he gets to. But then when I actually got to realize that dream, it wasn't really a dream. So so I
you
decided to.
because you realize it's a lot more hard work and not enough
Yeah,
money.
yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hard work, not enough money, boring. And I just decided, yeah, this isn't what I want to do.
Mm.
Prior to that, all of my working experiences would have been working on the farm,
Mm.
driving machinery and all of that sort of thing. And
Mm.
that was interesting to me, but I didn't envisage myself becoming a farmer either, probably. So
Mm.
therefore,
But your
working and getting.
family, your brothers, sisters, were they proud? Okay, Kiran is in the college. He's doing engineering.
Yeah, I think so. I think my
Okay.
grandmother was the most proud.
Wow.
She was yeah, she always regarded me as, yeah, he's this really smart guy for whatever reason, and now he's got on well in his exams, and now he's got to college, and so she was probably the proudest. My siblings probably didn't care, and I guess my mom and dad probably were, but didn't. Yeah, my grandmother was the one who boasted most about it. So
That's good. That's good. And is this a genetic engineering in first year, and then later on it would go into particular field? Which field does
yeah,
it
no,
go into?
it actually started. Yeah, so it started as you started in the discipline. So we started in electronic engineering, but several of the classes were generic. So some of the plastics engineering folks and some of the construction engineering folks would join us for some classes. So, but no, it was streamed from the start. You started in the class that you thought you wanted to end up in, and that's the way it was for me. As
Mm,
soon as I started doing it, I liked it.
mhm.
I liked I suppose I liked maybe the maths part of it. I liked
I see.
messing around with computing a little bit, and I enjoy the sort of practical aspects of it. Seeing
Mm,
what a resistor was, seeing what a capacitor was.
mm,
I
mm,
remember doing physics for my leaving cert, and I had
mm,
equations related to capacitors and resistors, but I never knew
mm,
what they were. They were just C's and R's. Now I
mm,
could see what they really looked like, and
mm,
yeah, I just found it quite interesting. So
mm.
so
So you had
once I
labs and all
we
that,
had
and that kind
yeah,
of gave it a practical
lots of
look.
labs.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I actually, and if I didn't have that, maybe I wouldn't have had as much interest. The labs were probably
Mm, mm,
what gave me the interest.
mm.
Yeah. So definitely, a technical college rather than a university can have a lot
Yeah.
more of the practical side, and therefore,
Yeah. And this was the technical college, right?
this was a technical college. Yeah,
Not
yeah.
a engineering university. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a university. It's I guess in Ireland there's probably two streams of higher education now. So there's
Mm,
universities, and there's Institute of Technologies, they're called. So
mm,
at the time, this wasn't the college I went to became an Institute of Technology eventually. At the
mm,
time I went to it, it was called a regional technical college, and then it
mm,
became an Institute of Technology subsequently.
mm,
And now I believe they do degrees there as well as diplomas and certificates. But at the time, they only did certificate, which was 2 years.
Oh, I see.
So I kind of qualified from there with a certificate after 2 years,
Okay.
and then I decided I would carry on and do a diploma, which was the
Oh,
next step.
okay.
So
Okay.
so then I went to Galway, which was another city, this back in the west of Ireland again, and
Yeah.
I did my 1 year.
Beautiful city. Yeah.
Yes, a really cool city, and I did my
Mm.
1 year diploma there.
Ah,
And
okay.
so I got on well in my certificate, got a distinction there, and then went on and did my diploma, and then I got hired immediately by a
And
company
diploma
called
was
Analog Devices.
Is a 3 year.
The,
Uh,
the diploma was 1 extra year, so it was
oh,
on
one.
top of on top
Okay.
of the certificate. So, but
A
the
total
problem
3 years so you had so far
total 3 years.
after high
Correct,
school.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct,
Okay.
exactly, yeah. So the problem was Athlone didn't do diplomas at the time. They
Mm.
only did certificate, and then Galway was an option for a diploma.
Mm.
So I did my diploma, and
So where were you?
yeah, I got on.
Your house was back in Athlone, and you just moved here, and that was okay for
Yeah,
the family.
So what happened was, so my house was back in Roscommon.
Mm.
I moved to Athlone, and stayed in a house there, in a student house with other students, and it was had a really good student experience.
Mm. How
Going
were things
to going,
financially? Like,
y-
yeah.
yeah, they were quite tight financially.
Mm.
So we wouldn't have been a rich family by any means,
Mm.
but At the time, because my dad was farming and relatively low income, there was a government grant that I was eligible for, and that pretty much paid for my accommodation and food probably. So I really just needed a little bit of money for beer. and my mum kindly used to provide me with some beer money each week.
Okay. Okay.
But we lived pretty frugally, as students. So we ate a little and drank a lot.
Yeah.
So it was, but it was great. It was a great experience. Great, really good fun.
You didn't have to pay a big tuition fee for the college,
No,
right?
no.
That's
The
big
tuition
difference between
fees
US.
were also
Yeah.
correct. The tuition fees were also covered by the government. So so that was really good. If I guess if I didn't have that, I probably would. I definitely would not have gone to college. I think so. So for me, it was what allowed me to do that.
Yeah.